Hello and welcome to this edition of Council Connections. This day we have the opportunity to sit down and connect with Councilwoman Michelle Kennedy. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Well, we want to first welcome you to the Greensboro City Council as one of our newest members. I'm curious to know, prior to running, is the reality of actually being an elected official what you thought it would be before you ran?
Well, you know, I'd certainly spent a lot of time connected to city government prior to going into office, but it is a different experience to be on this side of the table. I think that I expected to do my best to be the voice of the community, often the voice of folks who feel like they don't have a voice, and hopefully I'm doing that.
Okay, now this is a unique time for our city council. It's the first time they actually get to serve for a 4-year term. What are your objectives in this first term?
You know, I think it was really important that we came together as a council early on and determined our top goals and priorities. And I think as long as we stay focused on those, we have a real opportunity to enact change. And certainly poverty, housing, economic development, those were some of the priorities that we set back in the beginning of this year. And I think as long as we stay laser focused on those issues over a period of 4 years, we can really drive a lot of change in our community.
Okay, and as we have these opportunities to connect with council, I'm asking each council person, based on your position and who you're representing, you are an at-large representative, what do you feel is the most pressing issue facing Greensboro?
No question for me. I think affordable housing and access to living wage employment are the biggest issues facing our community, and I think you can't really separate those two. But I think if we prioritize those, I'll really be addressing the needs of folks across all constituencies. As an at-large member representing the whole city, there's a lot to balance and a lot to manage, but I believe as long as we keep a focus on those most at risk in our community, anytime you raise the floor, the ceiling raises with it.
Okay, now in your day job, many elected officials have another hat that they wear. You already are a public servant working with the IRC as its executive director. Give us an example of how that may help you with the decisions that you make with respect to what you're saying is a priority for affordable housing.
Well, you know, my career for a long time has been in a housing field and has been in an advocacy role as the leader of organizations working to end poverty, to work towards affordable housing. So that's my background, really. I'm kind of a housing geek. So it's not new for me. This is not a new avenue to work in. It's something that I've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy on over the last 15 years of my career. So I think I have particular knowledge in that field. I've done a lot of work around that field. I also get to have the lived experience of people that are going through the difficulties of finding affordable housing. And I think that that's really important. I mean, we can have all of the upper level conversations and the academic understanding and knowledge that we want to have, but if we don't center the experiences of people that are living in those circumstances, we're really missing something.
Okay, and with government, oftentimes people don't understand that change takes time. So how would you explain that to people in terms of what would be a realistic time frame in your mind for seeing some of this collaboration working to actually provide what are housing options that are real for people to start moving into? You
know, housing work is a marathon and not a sprint. It's a slow process to change issues with housing into affordable, sustainable, safe housing. So this is something that we have to recognize is going to take time. We're not going to solve that in the next 4 years. But the reality of it is I think we can make commitments now and start making those initial steps and get some small wins relatively quickly that translate into long-term strategic planning and strategic efforts that can be those, you know, decades-long changes we need to see in the city.
So you've outlined what you see are the major issues for our city and the objectives that were identified during the council retreat. What else would you like to add in terms of where you see yourself and what you're going to be accomplishing in this first 4-year term?
I'm not afraid of standing alone or being the only voice on an issue, and so I'm not here to continue a status quo. I'm here to see Greensboro move forward as best as we possibly can and as quickly as we possibly can.
This concludes this edition of Council Connections. Councilwoman Kennedy, we're so grateful to have had this opportunity to sit down and connect. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.